Peace, love, and black empowerment. You are tuned into the Mile High News Channel, Denver's first station for news and entertainment that is for us and by us. With your host, Noble Turner, Sharif Aline, Chairman Sekou, and Jesse Paris. Welcome. Peace, love, and black empowerment. Welcome back to Mile High News. This week I want to touch on some stuff here that I was looking at, and the first thing I want to say is thank you to all our viewers. We really appreciate that you guys are letting us know that we're doing something right here, and we're going to continue to bring you the news. We got a lot of special stuff coming up for y'all, so make sure you please stay tuned. I just want to talk about a few things, and the first thing I want to let you guys know is that we are at war, and a lot of people say that, and thinking that they're just coming to their neighborhoods, bombing us and doing all that. It's not that intricate yet. It's getting there, but take a look at this. In the 2000 census, you see what the white population was. So take a look at the 2010 census. And I want you guys to really look at this and know that this is a form of war. Their numbers are dwindling, so they're finding anything that they can do to pretty much bring an end to us. So we really have to focus on that. So all these tactics that are being used, all these chicken sandwiches, all these killing of unarmed young men or killing them because they felt they were in danger and stuff like that, it goes right back to these numbers. So I want everybody to just look at that for a minute and understand what we're up against here. And these numbers are going to be even smaller when it comes to 2020. So we have to focus on this, that we are at war and they are trying to take us out because of our numbers. So now on the brother Sharif, he's going to tell us about the white Hispanics and the 2020 census.
Thanks, Brother Noble, man. There was an article in the New York Times today that was talking about how white Hispanics are, like millions of Hispanics are declaring themselves white. And it really started back in the 2000 census where a certain number of Hispanics, declared themselves as other race or maybe black, or because a lot of so-called Hispanics are black, especially ones coming from like Cuba and Dominican Republic and so on and so forth. But they had to jump from the 2000 census to the 2010 census, and which is an indicator for the 2020 census. So they said from the year 2000 to the year 2010, 1.3 million so-called Hispanics declared themselves white. And if we go back and look at what was happening from 2000 to 2010, that's when Bush really started the immigration crackdown.
Sure was.
That's when he started Homeland Security and put all kind of measures in to really scare people's immigration, because they said that so-called terrorists were coming in through Mexico and crossing the border. Now this was during the Bush administration. And during his administration, they also was rounding up Latinos and putting them in internment camps. It just wasn't in the media like it is today. At that same time when Bush was president, he also had a program called Fast and Furious where he was pumping drugs and especially arms into Mexican cartels. I don't know if you heard or not, but last week it was a so-called white Mormon family that 9 members of their family got smoked down in Mexico by this cartel, they saying. But when you go deeper into the story, this so-called religious Mormon family had gotten to many beefs with cartels down there where they was killing each other and really fighting over the dope trade.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
It all goes back to.
Yeah, and the LA Times wrote about that, and these white Mormons with this money, bro, they made them retract the story and apologize for even bringing up the families. Like, when we get like if our family get killed and stuff, and we had gang ties or whatever, they gonna say it's gang related. They gonna bring up every situation that your family had with this gang or whatever. The media gonna put it out there, but since it's white people, they basically burying the story. What does all this have to do with white Hispanics? When the crackdown happened in the early 2000s, Hispanics, see, because they give you a choice on whatever form you're filling out. They say white, non-Hispanic,
Boxes.
and this and that in the box. So Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and people from Honduras and Venezuela and Bolivia, whoever was coming to the United States, they was feeling that it would be better for me to identify as white because white is better. And plus, I won't get the scrutiny if I've just checked white on everything.
So
But
were they getting more benefits because of that?
obviously,
That'd be a main reason, yeah.
obviously, you know, according to the Pew Research Center, they say the Latinos that are coming as immigrants to this country is on pace with the Europeans that came here back in the 30s and 40s, that they're succeeding.
Yeah.
And that's why every time you turn around in the hood, you see somebody like a Mexican or somebody from Guatemala, wherever, you know what I'm saying? They driving around in F-150 trucks. You know, they setting up bodegas and little
Nice houses,
grocery stores and bridal shops, and you know, and then a lot of times I'd be like, man, is this bridal shop a real bridal
So ain't
shop?
nobody
Because
get married.
nobody ever, because they got one next to the barber shop in the hood, and it's a bridal shop, and they got the dresses in the window. And
Oh, down it.
Nah, this is on Aurora.
Yeah.
This is in Aurora on Chambers and
Oh,
Colfax.
okay.
Right by right next door to Cocuts. So they have like a bridal dress and all the little dresses and stuff in the window. And the lady only come there once a week. She might come there once a week, do some paperwork for about 30 minutes, then she be gone. So, you know, brothers was around there saying, man, this ain't, you know, something else is going on besides some bridal stuff. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, Latinos are coming over to this country and they are succeeding at a high pace because they coming in here and they have unity. First and foremost, they have unity. Ain't even no incentive to learn English because you got everything. Like if you need medical attention, there's somebody who speaks Spanish. If you need a county check or a WIC for your house, all of this is
They're even
Spanish.
transforming schools to cater to them to where they're making it pretty much Spanish schools.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Just like what is that over there off of by Cole?
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like you turn right there.
That used to be a pretty much all black. Like my
Right.
mother-in-law went there. Now they've got it to where they're advertising for their upcoming events for the school in English and then the upcoming events in Spanish.
Right. So really, man, like you know, there's people, and
Mitchell, that's what it is.
yeah, and I'm not shitting on the Latino community or nothing like that.
Uh-huh.
But it's like we have, as black people, man, we have to establish our own set of political demands, and whoever is supposed to be an ally with us, they're supposed to be in tune with that. And what I'm seeing is the black and brown alliance that's supposed to be there, that was created like with Corky Gonzalez and Martin Luther King
Right.
and Cesar Chavez.
Federico and him, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was later on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That type of black and brown unity don't exist no more. You see what I'm saying? Because that black and brown unity was different, because these was generations of Mexicans that had grew up in the United States and that went through the same white supremacy, racism, getting chased down by mobs, beaten. You know, they had the Zoot Suit riots out in LA, which they target blacks and Latinos, but when they tell the story, they only tell you about Latinos getting beat up by them sailors and stuff during the Zoot Suit riot. They leave out the thousands and thousands of blacks that was beat up. We the ones that invented the Zoot Suit. The Mexicans was copying us.
Yep.
You know, like hip hop today.
That was in Harlem. That was in Harlem first.
Yeah, in Harlem, on the West Coast, like zoot suits, like back, like Cab Calloway and certain jazz musicians was wearing these zoot suits back in the 20s and 30s. Then by like the 40s, a lot of Mexicans started wearing the zoot suits. They started identifying with black culture, listening to jazz, to R&B music.
Just like everybody does. Just like I listen to Kuvo, and that's the new jazz station here in Denver.
No, they've been around for
they've been around for a while?
some years.
See,
Yeah.
I don't know nothing
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
But I listen to them, and they have a lot of, you know what I'm saying, La Rumba and like other stuff like that, where these old jazz musicians, and then they've been around for a while too, but that is an identity taken from us, you know what I'm saying? They turned it into a whole culture that they're a part of. And it was really Afro-Latino.
Right.
That's how it started.
They hold music, no matter where you go in Latin America. Even Mexican music is based off of African rhythms, what we brought there. They wasn't doing that before that.
Sure, that drum.
Yeah, they wasn't doing all of that. So back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, there was more of a kinship with black and Latino people because we all lived in the same community. All of us got treated like niggas. All of us was harassed by the police. But now we done moved into an age where a lot of Latinos in this country economically have surpassed us, and they don't want to be identified as people of color or brown, no brown unity. They talking about white unity. They trying to find a place in white supremacy and find a place. Because if you notice, man, a lot of these Latino groups ain't calling for the destruction of white supremacy. They talking about, we want to be a part of it. We want to serve in your military. We want to be citizens.
Police.
We want to be the police. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them is talking that. Ain't none of them talking about the destruction of white supremacy. And that's the thing with a lot of these immigrant groups that come to this country, because they come here and they have it already established that they are going to let the immigrant people step on black people to make it in this society. If you look at all of the Arab businesses, the Indian businesses, the Southeast Asian, like Chinese, Vietnamese, Cambodian, whatever, that come into our neighborhoods and set up these stores, they come right, or nail salons or whatever, they come right into the black community and instantly look at us as a cash cow to make money off of, to send their kids to school or whatever, and then these kids become doctors and this and engineers and this and that off of what we put down. The whole reason why a lot of these immigrants is in this country is because of the 1964-65 Civil Rights Bill.
That's right, took full advantage of it.
Yeah, man, up into the 1960s, they wasn't even letting Asian people, like Chinese, Japanese people, you couldn't just come to the United States and seek citizenship. They had a quota on Africans, on all that. The civil rights movement, what we died for and fought and bled and got bit by dogs and churches bombed and all of that, made a way for the women's movement to prosper, the immigrants movement to prosper, and last but not least, the LGBT community to prosper. The LGBT community, more than any other community, have benefited off of the backs of what black people did during the civil rights movement.
Just like everybody else.
And I'm talking about totally hijacking our movement and taking our signs and our symbols and stuff that, like our people bled and died for, like black pride or black power. When I was coming up, somebody would say it loud. And some little kid be like, I'm black and I'm proud. I go someplace now and say it loud, and they talking about I'm gay and I'm proud. Black pride is gay. You see what I'm saying?
It's that pride, they done took over the whole definition of pride.
Even the whole thing of the rainbow colored flag.
Yeah.
This is something that Fred Hampton started in Chicago.
Yes,
The Rainbow Coalition was a coalition of poor whites, Puerto Ricans, Latinos, like Asians, anybody that was basically standing against white supremacy, and it was a militant type organization. Then in the 70s, after Fred got killed, Jesse Jackson picked, because he's from Chicago too, he picked up on the Rainbow Coalition and brought Jews into it, Native Americans into it, Asians and LGBT, brought them into it too, and brought them into the Rainbow Coalition. This is the 70s and the 80s. By the 90s, the whole rainbow had been co-opted by the LGBT community. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they too have benefited off of the Civil Rights Acts of the 60s. And Bush with Jesse Jackson. That organization too was stolen from the Panthers and stuff that they was creating. So there's a song by the Last Poets, and I think it's called Related to What, and he basically talks about how this song was made like 1969, 70. He was saying they have taken our leaders, stuck lollipops up their asses, and they running around here basically like sissies.
Yeah.
And they said that the Last Poets, and you know the song's like Related to What? Related to what? What's that you say? Related to what? And then they be spitting all this political stuff, but they talk about Roy Wilkins riding around and Cadillacs and this and that. It's deep, man, because everything they talked about in that song basically came to fruition today. They've taken our most masculine manhood of the civil rights movement and turned it into an LGBT movement where they talk about Malcolm was receiving fellatio from men and stuff in the back of alleys and doorways. And they took this out from no evidence, like the Harriet Tubman movie. They just took something that was totally unreal and tried to lay that on Malcolm that he was gay.
Yeah, and it's like the guy who's the bounty hunter that they tried to turn into a damn villain.
Right.
That was, they said that wasn't in none of her memoirs, there weren't in no kind of history. They made up a character to demonize black men.
Man, and during the 1850s, when this is 1840s, 1850s, when this is supposed to be occurring, in 1830 something, you know they had the Nat Turner Rebellion like 20 years before Harriet Tubman was doing her thing. After the Nat Turner Rebellion, it was against the law for any Negro to possess any type of firearms or a club
weapon,
or a machete.
axe,
it was against the law for a black person to ride a horse. That was against. You see the part in Django where they come up on the dude's plantation and he on the horse, and he said, "Why is that nigga on that nag up there?"
Yep.
And he's like, "Well, he's a special nigga." You know what I'm saying? They didn't have too many special niggas back then that they would give a gun to, let ride a horse, and go apprehend other black people that was allegedly ran away. Yeah. So, man, getting back to what I was talking about before, this whole whiteness amongst Latinos is warfare. And while we playing checkers, they playing chess.
And I always want to take that back, I always want to take it back to what Dr. Claude Anderson says. He told us that in the year 2035, he said we will become third-class citizens. You know what I'm saying? We were the second-class citizens, but now that this is coming in, and especially since the influx of Hispanic, Mexicans, whatever you want to call them, are coming in, they're going to put us down to third-class citizens. And like Dr. Claude said, if we didn't get anything when we were second class, you know damn sure we're not going to get anything when we third class. So this is a form of warfare.
Can I just say this last thing, because I know we got to go. When I was on KGNU, right, which is supposed to be the citadel for free speech and representing underprivileged communities and all that, I had Dr. Claude Anderson on my show, and he was giving a lecture about the LGBT community and how they benefiting off of us, okay? And he had made a statement that since you benefited off of us and got all these rights off of us, you should stand with us. And if you can't stand with us, you should get back in the closet. Now, Claude Anderson said that on my show. I ain't say it. But the next week, man, them white people up at KGNU told me, they said, they want you to apologize for this. People was calling for me to be suspended and all of this kind of stuff. And so I did a show where I invited an LGBT advocate on, and they was like, well, that was so hurtful, that was violent what he said, talking about get back in the closet. I said, well, what did he say that was inaccurate? I said, black people spilled our bloods for you to get this rights, and if you're not going to help us, that's when you should get back in the closet.
Right.
I said, I didn't say it, but I agree. I said, I might not agree with how he said it, but I agree with the overall sentiment.
And especially since they try to compare their sentiments and their struggle that they've been to us. Like I've heard that before. Like, are you serious? I ain't never seen I don't even want to name all. They
got one case they be naming, Matthew Shepard.
Come on, man.
Maybe like Matthew Shepard is like he was lynched because he was gay. No, he wasn't. He was in a drug deal with some other white boys, and one of the white dudes that killed him was also LGBT.
Whoa.
Matthew Shepard, we're going to make sure you look him up, Charlie.
And this is another thing, bro, because they trying to shame straight black men about these transgender men, or women rather, transgender women that's getting killed, and they don't know who's killing these transgender women, but they trying to put it on straight black men. Number one, straight black men is not fucking with no transgender.
I know I can tell the difference. I don't know about any other brother, but I know I can tell the difference.
I can tell the difference too. But I'm just saying,
gaydar.
but a straight black man is not trying to go out and harm or even be associated with a transgender. These are not straight black men targeting transgender women. It's other transgender, mostly probably white, since they can't find out.
Or in the closet ones that's afraid to come on out and afraid to get busted.
Right, that too. But they trying to put it on straight black men and all of this toxic masculinity and all of this kind of stuff. I know we done went a long ways away from white Hispanics.
That's how it goes here, my high news.
News in the house.
But dig it, man, all of it's related because you got all of these other different groups fighting for their interests, but they will not fight for us. So I'm down with the ADOS, Foundational Black America, whatever you want to call it, saying we got to ask for our tangible and we cannot cape for everybody else. Right. I don't want to see kids in cages and families tore apart and all that, but my cousin is in a cage and his family was torn apart. And ain't nobody caping for that but us. You dig?
That's right.
All right.
All right, fam, in other news, now if you look down at the Hispanic and Latino, their numbers are growing. Their numbers are growing, pretty rapidly. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to replace us, and we need to know that this war has been a continuing war. Since their numbers are dwindling and they see ours rising, they're going to find any way, and that way can be the Hispanics, the way the Hispanic number is growing. Just like Sharif was saying, that they're going to be the new whites, and they're trying to make sure that they give them enough tangibles and they give them enough, comfortability to where they can help take us over. So we need to be focused on that and worried about that as a people. And that's one of the reasons why I created this show, is to let people know that this is not a joke, this is not a game here. We are set to be annihilated, to be extinct, pretty much. We're set to be extinct here, coming up really soon. We have to focus on that, family. We're going to take it to our brother Sekou, who's going to be letting you know about the 5G towers going up. And like I was saying, this is a form of war. This is another way. Just like the messed up food, just like all the other stuff, GMOs and all that, the 5G towers is another way to take us out. That stuff is killing our people. and it's messing with brain function and brain waves from what I'm looking at. So we'll let Brother Sekou tell y'all about that.
Now we got these 5G towers for these cell phones that ain't been tested in no laboratory, and they're more powerful than the 4Gs who were required to be tested in order for them to be put up. And now you have cities like the city of San Francisco who has banned these 5G towers. And we have contacted the mayor's office. He ain't did nothing. He ain't returned a phone call for the lady who supported him when he got elected mayor, who has the oldest ownership of a business on Firepoint, and she got one of them poles right in front of her front door of her business at 2755 Welton Street on the corner. And she is a member of the Business Improvement District. Now, what good does it make for us to be in positions of power and then out of retribution, because she stood up for the community over the last 50 years, she's now being consequent because she's old now. Senior citizen now. Her husband's old now. Senior citizen. That is the place where he goes every day in order to stay alive. To still cut hair after 60 years of cutting hair, she said if he don't come to work, he dies. Because he comes from the old school that you work until you die so you can live longer. And now he's in his 85 years old, cutting hair with a scissors and a razor strap. Old school. And we still go down there to get our hair cut. And we buy beauty products from it. And we sustain that. And she is ready now to fight. So now we have demonstrations every day at 10 a.m. in front of a place where we're gathering up a petition drive to remove the pole. And we're just giving them a certain period of time before we cut the pole down like we did that statue over there that was ugly of Martin Luther King, drag that shit down the street and tell them to go fuck themselves. And we don't mind going to jail. We don't mind. See, because you're not going to put that electronic nuclear bullshit in our neighborhood, because that's where they're putting them first. You don't see none out there at the Wilshire Country Club, out in Cherry Creek, Highlands Ranch, none of that. You'll use us as guinea pigs to see how many you can kill us on this bullshit. And it's cumulative. It's just like cigarette smoke. The first cigarette ain't gonna kill you. But over time, little by little, you're gonna smoke more, you're gonna breathe more, and now you're ending up with cancer, and these things have been proven to produce cancer over time. And this is the 21st century struggle with this new generation, because they got to get rid of these poles and this electronic mess that they hooked up on. Every time I see one, they got a phone in the ear, they're talking on the bus, yeah, I'm going, it's right there, and they don't even hear you. They don't even hear you. They so caught up on that raggedy ass cell phone that's putting radiation in their ear, carrying it in their pocket, and then they wonder why men now are coming up an epidemic of breast cancer. Fucking around with them goddamn phones. And they tell you, don't you put that shit on your body, and we do it anyway, and we're carrying that shit, and the bigger the phone, the happier we are, because we like to see it. See? And so, we're in trouble of our own design, because we done bit off on the apple jack. And it wasn't Eve, it was man that created this bullshit. So come and help us stand up to remove all 5G towers. And Jesse can tell you more about the scientific breakdown, or there's a video that we've been sending out. Y'all need to pay attention. See, and all the rest of that you're talking about, you're under nuclear attack. Nuclear attack.
That's right, man. This is another reason why I'm saying that we're at war, because they're coming at us from all fronts. They're coming at us with everything they have. This is not working, so let's try this. That's not working, so let's try this. And like another story about a brother named Byron Allen. I don't know if you guys heard of him. Our correspondent Jesse Paris, he's on the case, he's on the scene. So he was going to tell you about what's going on with that. It's very important, family.
Yeah, so Byron Allen is being sued by Comcast, the big multi-billion-dollar corporation that owns just about every piece of media in this country. He is being sued on the grounds of the 1866 Civil Rights Act. Now, we always hear about the Civil Rights Act of the 60s, of the 1960s, But a lot of us don't know that the actual first Civil Rights Act was in 1866 after the Civil War, and we were supposedly freed after emancipation. So this freed the slaves supposedly, and we received our first set of civil rights for the first time in American history. And this included all non-white minorities. But we have to speak about that because we can no longer fall into this minority category. This category is benefiting everybody but us. And we are being stripped of the rights that we fought and died for in this country. So Brian Allen described it as the 4 Ds. He said first they dismiss you. Then he said they discredit you. Then he said they demonize you. And then last, and certainly not least, they destroy you.
What, you talking about, kill you?
Exactly. So they've been trying to dismiss this, saying, oh, well, this isn't a big deal. And then they've been trying to discredit his message. And then now, since he won his case in the Ninth Circuit of Appeals twice, now they're taking this to the Supreme Court.
What,
Now,
the Republicans are?
the Comcast.
No, I'm saying the Supreme Court is dominated by the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
What's the president's name?
Trump.
Trump? Yeah.
Trump is the president.
Donald Duck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, this is $20 billion lawsuit, and it's going to, the court case is going to happen this Thursday. This is why I wanted to discuss this. So, Brian, along with American Descendants of Slavery and Color of Change, have asked Comcast to drop the lawsuit. Now, Comcast is petitioning Brian Allen to court since he won the cases, the 2 previous cases in the Ninth Circuit Court. We ever want a but-for standard, which means that you have to prove outright. It makes it hard for you to prove outright racism. This but-for standard that Comcast is pushing for, unless you are internally in the company. So you have to be heavily involved in the company. So this is affecting the contracting that so-called minority groups receive. If Brian Allen cares so much about black people, he should drop the case and invest in other cases, especially given the fact that the NAACP, the National Advancement of Colored People, which I call Negroes always asking for Caucasoid's permission, and the Urban League have largely been muted and silenced. But check this out. Comcast actually serves on the board for the Urban League. So it's like, really, who has our best interest in mind? And then, so this will bring the case to force the Supreme Court to use a motivating factor versus but-for standard. So we have to keep tabs on these things. As my colleagues have already mentioned, we are at war, and this is a war on many fronts. The great Dr. Millie Fuller puts it, we are at war in its 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, politics, sex, war, religion. So, entertainment is one of the areas. That's why this Comcast case is so big. They don't want us to have these contracts. They don't want us to buy any news networks, any media outlets. Brian Allen has bought the Griot and several others that were previously not black owned, but now they are black owned. The Weather Channel is the biggest. He bought that outright. He completely owns the Weather Channel. So we have to keep tabs on these things because they are affecting us. They are slowly eroding our rights in this country that we fought, our ancestors fought and died for. Now, our ancestors didn't fight and die for us to have the right to vote. They fought for us to have liberation and freedom. And we can never lose sight of that.
That's right. And Byron, he's bringing up a case that everybody doesn't want him to take that, but we need to take a stand. We need to use some force here. You know, whether it be political, whether it be economical, which is what it should be in the first place. You know, and you know, I have a lot of people that believe Byron Allen should use all those resources on reparations. But for whatever it is, you know, it's time for us to start fighting. It's time for our voices to be heard. Besides out in the streets marching, we shall overcome, still ain't overcame nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's not a diss or a jab at Martin Luther King. It's just that it's time for the next phase in our lives. You know, this marching ain't gonna do it. This ain't nothing gonna do it besides us waking up and waking up economically. So just like on the future of this show, we're gonna have a lot of stuff going towards that. You know, we here are working on some things to bring that.
That ought to get us all.
Show. This is going to be an empowerment show. So,
Let me ask you a question. Ain't Byron Allen, didn't he get his money in entertainment being a comedian?
he started off as one.
He started off as a comedian.
No, he started out as a comedian. Yeah. Right? Didn't Bill Cosby start out as a comedian? And then, when he wanted to buy NBC, they gave him a case after he tried to buy it twice. No matter how much money he had, it wasn't enough because you couldn't make him sell. So they decided to give him a case on some meaty stuff at Hugh Hefner's mansion with some white women, and you know what's going on at the Playboy thing. But they didn't shut down the Playboy mansion. They didn't shut down Hustler magazine.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? But they was all up in there together in bed with Hugh as he was up in there with Marilyn Monroe. Is that right?
That's correct.
So now, let's see, here comes Byron, round two. You want to do Cosby number 2. All right, because you ain't paying attention to him. You know, because funny guy. You know what I'm saying? Because I am white. Period. And if I give you my television shows and cable stuff and you buy that, what am I going to have? Well, what am I going to have? You know, it's just like in football. If I let you Negroes buy the league team, what kind of job am I going to have? What kind of job am I going to have? I tell you what though, I tell you what, Byron or Jay-Z, how about me and you get together, man, I give you 1% of the Jets. How about that? All right, how about that? And then he's in the back room by himself, cutting the deal. And then he comes out and we say, hey man, what went down? He said, trust me. Trust you? What happened? And then how is that going to help me as I look at this mess? You know what I'm saying? Now I'm getting charged, and now I got a new Pharaoh that's in a color scheme that looks like me. See? You ain't offering us no collective ownership. You talking about me, myself, and I. You got a piece, but you didn't break nobody else off. Now why should I get out here and support you going to jail? What's that gonna do? See, I'm trying to save you, boy. You know what I'm saying? Take what you got, keep that, and then share that with us so we have a reason to get out here and die. You can't use me like that, boy. Them days are over. We are not protesting, dying for a few to get rich while we stay broke, and then they keep on moving and they never look back to bring us along. See, in ownership, I don't want no job. Because you don't want no job. Who wants to work just to be old and broke? J.O.B. just old and broke. And you want me to work for you like that? I remember slavery. We had some black folks had some plantations down there.
Can't pass down a job.
So when it's all said and done, right? Byron, Cosby, Jay-Z, and all the rest of these pimps that's playing us like we're a goddamn fool, we don't want no goddamn black Pharaoh. No, we don't want none of that. And you leaders, we ain't following your ass doing shit no more. You so good, you so smart, do that shit on your ass by yourself and let's just see how far your ass get. And go fuck yourself.
Yeah. That's right. So once again, thank you all for tuning in to Mile High. We're gonna do some more talking after the scenes. Maybe one day we'll put some bloopers on for y'all for the let y'all see what we talking about.
Oh no, this is from the street.
It goes down.
This is good language. I bet y'all understand, motherfucker.
Peace, love, and black empowerment. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week.